Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be walking you through the steps to teach your horse how to neck rein. Now in the near future, I'm going to be doing this process on a much greener horse as well, so you can see a much more in-depth look at the process of doing it. I'll probably do that in a 3-part series, so when that does come out, I'll be sure to link it in the description below. But today I'm going to be using a horse that's a little bit more broke, so we can make this a little bit shorter, a little more concise. You can see the steps that go into it, but you don't have to watch an hour-long video that talks about it, in case you're just looking for how to troubleshoot one or two things or just get an overall view of the process. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first mistake that I see people make is that early on from the beginning, what they try to do is guide their horses around by pulling them where they want them to go instead of pushing them where they want to go. So they start by teaching their colts to ride around like this, they pull them where they want to go, and then they think that neck reining is a separate phase of the process. For me, from the very first ride, I'm already teaching my horses to neck rein because I get a grip on my reins like this. And when I ask my horse to go right, I'm going to take both reins, use the outside rein, push my horse over, see if I can get him to keep walking because we don't want to go into a turn there when I'm explaining this. I'm going to take both hands, set the outside rein to where it's laying pressure across the neck every single time I go to turn. Every turn that I make, even on my greenest horses, is going to be a push motion, not a pull motion. Obviously, the inside rein helps the horse find the direction. It sets him up to go the direction we want him to, but the outside rein and outside leg are what's going to push the horse in the direction we want him to, and that's where your neck reining comes from. So if from the very first ride, your horse starts adapting to that, where every time you ask him to go left, then you set him up, that's your position, push him through with the leg and rein. It's going to be much easier when you go one-handed for that horse to understand what you've been doing all this time. It's not such a big jump in his mind to go from this to one-handed and doing this. So obviously there's going to be a little polishing that you have to do, but that's a big thing that I work on from early on, is making sure that I'm always guiding my horses over here. I set them up, push them through. Set them up, push them through. And then another big mistake I see people make is that if their horse doesn't step over when they lay the outside rein, they want to pull harder and harder and harder and do this number. Now this horse has a little bit more training, so you can see he continued to try to step around there and make me happy. But what's going to happen on a greener horse is that you're going to take that nose and you're going to put him in such a bind he can't move, okay? I see that happen so much of the time, where they get sucked back or they just get so locked up they can't make the move you're asking them to. So you want to set them up gently. See how my hands don't move any more than that? And I'm going to push them through with the outside rein and outside leg. But your outside leg is what's going to be that driving force behind teaching your horse to neck rein. Okay? It's not the reins that get the job done. It's your leg that backs up what you're asking with the reins. Good job. All right. Go ahead and go to the right just a little bit here. This horse has a pretty good start on him. He has a pretty good foundation. We're just going to make sure that he can guide around like that. Now the next step I want you to pay attention to is that your horse can walk a straight line. When I'm working on neck reining, I walk a straight line, then I turn, then I walk a straight line, and then I turn. And the reason for this is that I wanted to be very clear to that horse that we're working on a steering exercise, okay? If you're just kind of drifting around here in a circle, ho-humming around, then you're like, okay, maybe we'll turn a little bit, and then you just kind of ho-hum back onto that circle. It's a lot more vague to the horse what you're asking him to do, and he's going to take a much longer time to figure out the neck reining process than if you take him on a straight line, ride, leave him alone. See how my hands are at neutral. They're balanced along the horse's neck. And then when I go on to turn, I step over, steer that horse, and walk straight again. I want to turn again, step over, push that horse through, and then go straight again. Step over, push that horse through, and walk straight again. And if you've watched any of our other videos, another very important step that we do is to teach that horse how to soften his rib cage and give his nose when we apply this inside leg. So if I start bumping with my inside leg here, my horse will get really soft through the rib cage and he'll give me his nose. And here in a minute, I'm going to explain why that's so important. So you'll notice here, bump, that horse gives me his nose. Bump, that horse gives me his nose, okay? So that's softening the rib cage and bringing that nose in the direction that I'm riding. All right, so our next step is to put the reins in what we call a pulley system here, okay? So notice I have my reins draped across the opposite sides of the horse's neck. I'm just going to lift my reins up here, get a nice little grip there. And what this does is it gives you that center point that you want. Okay, so as if you were neck reining your horse, no longer do you have 2 points of contact here, you have 1. But what this loop does is allow you to tip your wrist this way or this way to shorten up those reins and make a little bit more contact if you need to help that horse go the direction you're asking him to. So I'm going to go left here and see how the horse is looking to the outside. I'm just going to twist my wrist, make contact with the inside there, keep driving him forward till I get his nose, and we're going to step off that direction, all right? And then as soon as I get that, I turn my wrist back straight and we ride off. Once again, lay that rein, push him through. There we go. And always go back to neutral. I'm going to lengthen these reins up just a smidge. All right, ask him to go left again. He's looking to the outside. Soften that rib cage, twist my wrist, shorten the inside rein, and just wait him out. He's trotting. I didn't ask him to trot. I'm just going to wait here. Notice how I'm not pulling harder. I'm not changing anything really that's happening. I'm just lifting those reins a little bit to say, hey, get back in that turn. And then I'll leave him alone and walk out. Good. But I don't release until he makes the move that I was asking him to make. Once again, put my hand in position, ask him to step over. He's turning inside out. Soften the rib cage, shorten that inside rein, and wait till he makes the move. And immediately when he makes the move, I leave him alone and go back to neutral. Once again, set him up. He's looking to the outside. Soften the rib cage, shorten the rein, push him through. So this is something that you may have to do 100 times. You may have to do it 1,000 times. You may have to do it 10,000 times. I don't know. But the thing is, you're going to have the patience to keep walking your horse through this process. Now, 10,000 times might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but I want you to have the patience with this horse, because horses don't do math. They're not going to come up with the equation on their own. You have to repeatedly tell them 1 + 1 = 2, 1 + 1 = 2, over and over again, till when you say, what does this mean? The horse says 2. You know, he's not going to, again, do the math on his own and come up with that equation. So I'm just going to remind him, step over. All right. There we go. Now that time when I laid my rein on the outside of his neck and asked him to step over, I didn't have to make any other adjustments. I didn't have to soften his rib cage, didn't have to shorten the inside rein. Nothing had to happen, and the horse stepped right over. There it was. So I'm always looking for that nose to look in the direction he's going. At the very least, I want the horse to stay straight. At no point do I want to pull those reins and my horse looks to the outside and does this. Okay. Now, one big thing that can cause that is when riders pull their reins. Here, let me get facing the camera again. One big thing that can cause that is when riders steer by pulling the reins down and over like this instead of up and over, okay? So you want to go up and at a 45, guide your horse over. Up at a 45, guide your horse over. Never do this. It's not this move, it's not this move, okay? You have to go up and over. Step. Up and over. Up and over. There we go. And then up and over. Good job. There. So don't make the mistake of doing this, because what happens is it shortens the outside rein instead of shortening the inside rein, and your horse has no choice but to kind of turn inside out and follow that outside rein. All right. Go ahead and go to the right just a little bit. I'll ask him to step over. I'll put my hand in position. Wait for him to find it. He's not finding it. There it was. And I'll release. Good job. We'll walk off straight. Ask for that turn again. There it was. He's a little bit better to the right than he is to the left. He doesn't get stuck as much. But you can see how his nose is still leaning a little bit to the outside. So I'm going to take my wrist, shorten that inside rein, soften the inside rib cage, and push him across. There we go. And I'll prep him that way every time if I need to. Okay, we're going to ask him to turn, set him up. He's not, if they stop walking, push him back up to a walk, okay? You have to have that forward momentum to teach this. Once again, up and over, set him up. Very nice. All right, once again, set him up. Very nice. That's beautiful. Okay, I'm going to play with it a little bit at a trot here. Come over. So now, notice how I'm having to do very little with my wrist, where I'm holding this pulley here, okay? Pretty much if I guide my hand over here, this horse is following right underneath my hand, and his shoulders swinging really pretty, and his nose is going the direction that I'm asking him to go, okay? He's not leaning to the outside, he's not turning inside out. One very important thing that you do while teaching the neck reining process is to go one direction at a time. Don't swap here and then go right and then left and then right and then left, because that's just going to extend the process so much longer, okay? Like I talked about before, you want to set it up for the horse where you're telling him 1 + 1 = 2 over and over again till he can give you the answer immediately. If you're going back and forth and you're saying, okay, 1 + 1 = 2, and then you're saying 2 + 3 = 5, 1 + 1 = 2, it's much harder for him to remember each equation versus if you went over and allowed him to memorize one thing at a time and then allow him to memorize the next thing. All right, so once I've got one side fairly solid, or I've worked on it for about 5 minutes to where we're having a good session, 5-10 minutes, then I'm going to go ahead and go the other direction and work on that side. Step him up here. Good job. There we go. And sometimes if you get more momentum, it actually works better. Sometimes if you're at the walk and the horse doesn't have a lot of impulsion in those feet, then he has a tendency to turn inside out more than if he has a little bit more drive in that direction. You can bring those reins over. Now he's following my reins really nicely. He's getting underneath my hand really well, staying between my legs. Bring that rein over. He's speeding up whenever I guide him, so I'm just going to wait him out till the gait slows down before I release him. There we go. Once again, it's up and over. And you'll never see me pulling harder to get him to turn. I just wait him out and bump with my outside leg. Wait, see how he's speeding up there? He's falling in and speeding up. I'm going to lift my hand to lift his shoulder, and I'll just wait till that gait slows back down and he steps underneath my hand. Once again, wait. There it was. And release. And we walk out straight again. Okay, lift, ask him to step over. Flawless. And I'll leave him alone. Ask him to step over. There it was, and leave him alone. All right, good job. Okay, so after you've gone through and your pulley system is very solid and you're no longer having to guide that horse by shortening the inside rein and shortening the outside rein, or whichever side you're working on, you're no longer having to shorten the inside rein to get the horse to look and guide the direction you're asking him to go, then we're ready to go truly one-handed. Get your reins evened up and test that horse. Now this is where softening the rib cage becomes so important, and this horse isn't at the stage where I can show this off perfectly because obviously he's not finished. So when I guide him around, you're still going to see a lot of that turning inside out when he's one-handed. But what this allows me to do, if that horse softens off the rib cage, is that when I guide him over to the left, if he doesn't look that direction, I can take my leg, soften the rib cage, and notice how his nose looks over here? Just like that. So anytime I guide him over here and he doesn't look, take my leg, soften the rib cage, get his nose, and then push him through with my outside leg, okay? So that's a really handy tip there if your horse doesn't understand how to look the direction you're going and you're struggling with actually getting to the point where you're going one-handed. So I'll lay my rein. There we go. He's answering so nicely. I didn't have to do anything with my leg there. I'm going to go ahead and go to the right here without saying anything. See how he's looking to the outside? So I'm going to take my leg here, and he's not answering, so we're just going to remind him 1 + 1 = 2, okay? If you have to, go back and help the horse out, okay? Never get frustrated with your horse. Never make it a big deal. We're not trying to stress him out. He looked to the outside there. Take my inside rein, soften his rib cage up, get him going the direction I want him to go, and just go on our merry way. Lay that rein, ask him to step over. That was flawless. Let's do it again. He answered right away there. When I laid that rein, his feet didn't answer immediately, but he knew exactly what I was asking him to do, and mentally he was connected. Okay, lay that rein again. We've got some cats and dogs running around here. He's a little bit distracted, but that's okay. Once again, lay that rein. There it was. It took him a second. He almost looked to the outside, and then he was like, you know what? I know how to do this. Lay the rein, ask him to step over. He's not. There it was. There it was. Good job. All right, I'm going to step him up to a trot here. There it was. There it was. We'll do a couple more of these. There we go. He started looking to the outside there, and then he found himself. Step back to the inside. There. Notice how I used my leg right there, and I caught his nose right away. Right? Over there it was. Very nice. Okay. All right, we'll stop there. Good job. Perfect. That was super nice. Good job. So once again, notice how I'm bringing my hand up and over at about a 45, setting it and letting him find it, okay? I don't pull harder when my horse doesn't go there. you're on a greener horse, that'll just turn him inside out. He's been pretty good about answering me. If I pull harder, then he just tries to speed up in the direction I'm asking him to go, which is awesome. But for a greener horse, it's not going to happen that way. There we go. Go back on a straight line. Ask him to turn once again. There we go. Okay, everything's falling into place perfectly. So I'm going to let him have that. That was a good little neck reining session there. Asking him to guide around, move his shoulder over. Step up. There we go. One thing that I want to bring out again is that we're not pulling our horses where we want them to go. We're pushing them there, okay? If you can remember that and hold on to that, set them up, let them find it. You're going to be much further ahead. Push the horse where you want him to go. Don't pull him there.